who is Carter Page? Carter Page.
Complicated.
It's very complicated. We don't know. I'm not even sure that Carter Page knows. But somehow he keeps ending up on television talking about his non-relationship with the Trump campaign. It's very strange to understand this guy. And I've got two scenarios. One is he somehow gets on to the 5-member Foreign Policy Advisory Committee for candidate Donald Trump. We don't know how he got there. It was rumored that he was there from Jeff Sessions before, but now he's denying that. He then somehow ended up in this dossier and then has decided to go into the media to, I guess, clear his name. So here he was on February 15th talking to PBS's Judy Woodruff.
Any meetings, I'll ask again, did you have any meetings last year with Russian officials in Russia, outside Russia, anywhere?
I had no meetings, no meetings. I might have said hello to a few people, you know, as they're walking by me at my the graduation speech I gave in July, but no meetings.
So, in other words, these reports that are citing in very specific detail what intelligence agencies say they have discovered, continuous, repeated contacts between the campaign and Russia, you're saying that's entirely made up. Is that what you're saying?
Judy, I don't think they said discovered. I think that they're looking at it. So it's a
So that's him on Judy Woodruff's show, denying that he met with any Russians, except for maybe an incidental, like, hi, how are you, after he gave a speech in July.
It's the Manafort thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I know they don't wear badges.
Right.
It's probably true.
Here he is going on Chris Hayes' show, I guess presumably because there's so many people talking about Carter Page yesterday. Wait. Nobody was talking about Carter Page yesterday. I don't know why he went on this show, but he did. And here's Chris Hayes asking him the same question.
You're not going to confirm or deny. I have to say, though, 2 weeks ago you were with Judy Woodruff, and she said, "Did you have any meetings? Any meetings last year with Russian officials, inside Russia, outside Russia, anywhere?" You said, "I had no meetings, no meetings."
No meetings related to those issues, which were being brought out, or she was asking about, which was another front page New York. I can't remember if that was.
Wait a second. I just want to be clear. You're now, when you said I had no meetings, you are now amending that to say no meetings relating to the issues specific to what Judy Woodruff was talking about.
She was specifically talking about the investigation, which I believe came out that same day or the day previous. So that was the context.
Can I just be totally honest with you here for a second? You know, there's this pattern here where everything in context, you can tell me like, yeah, I met with Sergei Kislyak, I was at this thing, and there was a bunch of different ambassadors. There was one from Germany, and we talked, and there's no smoke here. And that may have been true about Michael Flynn talking to Sergei Kislyak, and it may have been true about Jared Kushner's meeting, and it may be true about Jeff Sessions. Yeah. But there is this pattern, which you appear to be part of, in which there's this kind of like bizarre dissembling about the basic facts of the matter. Do you understand why that reads to people as fishy?
Well, I understand why when you also, you know, today's front page article about, you know, the ongoing works by the Obama White House to really come after and burrow in all kinds of information. So
right, no, and
that's the reason why, you know, this kind of question is even being asked.
Right, I get you think that this is being pursued by the opponents and enemies of the president, and I get that. But I'm just asking you straight up, like, just for a straight answer, you're saying I can't confirm or deny. USA Today's reported it. You told one reporter I had no meetings with the Russians. Now you're telling me I had no meetings with the Russians about the things they were talking about. I'm just trying to get a straight answer. Like, did you meet Sergei Kislyak in Cleveland? Did you talk to him?
I'm not going to deny that I talked with him. Although
so you did talk to him.
I will say that I never met him anywhere outside of Cleveland. Let's just say that much.
The only time that you met him was in Cleveland.
That I may have met him possibly might have been in Cleveland. So
okay.
Again, I'm respectful to the organizers. I'm respectful to confidentiality rules.
Okay.
And whether it's in government or outside.
But you're not going to deny that you talked with him in Cleveland.
I do not deny that.
Okay.
I mean,
Very clarifying.
Here's the thing. On one hand, it's impossible, not impossible, but it's really hard to imagine that this guy is up to any type of intricate plot because he seems so lost and so uncoached and so completely out of his element and so incapable of like, why is he even there? Like, if he's not, like, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't know what to say.
What are the different threads here, though? Okay, so it's like we have Trump and this notion that there's some type of connection potentially with him getting, loans or investment from people that are connected to Russian oligarchs. Then you have this guy in the energy thing, and he does have some type of connection to Jeff Sessions.
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
We don't. Okay.
We don't know.
I thought that was clearly established that he advised him at some point.
He claimed on this same program, we don't have this clip, but he claimed on the same program that he did not come to the campaign via Jeff Sessions. He was asked how he ended up coming to the campaign, and he claimed that he came to the campaign from a different person or persons.
Right. He wouldn't say who.
And he wouldn't say who because he wanted to make sure that those people were not subject
We're not harassed.
We're not harassed. So here's my question to this guy. Why do you keep doing press? You think you're going to clear yourself.
Well, you have his letter, right?
Yes.
And he's doing press because he's unstable, which
mean,
is another theme of these people.
Back in about less than a month ago, on February 12th, I guess this is shortly after or just before he went on to with Judy Woodruff, he wrote to the voting section of the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice. Dear members of the Civil Rights Division voting section, I am writing to request your urgent review of the severe election fraud in the form of disinformation, suppression of dissent, hate crimes, and other extensive abuses led by members of the Mrs. Hillary Clinton campaign and their political allies last year. As summarized below, the actions by the Clinton regime and their associates may be among the most extreme examples of human rights violations observed during any election in U.S. history since Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was similarly targeted for his anti-war views in the 1960s.
That's what comes to mind.
The former Obama administration head of your division, Vanita Gupta, has recently spoken about so-called attempts to, quote, bend the arc of history itself, not merely by serving your clients, but by harnessing the law as a force for positive change. But prior to the initial steps by the new Attorney General Jeff Sessions to begin bending the arc of history in a positive direction, the U.S. Department of Justice served as an accomplice in negatively helping to drive U.S. national security into the gutter last year. During the prior administration, the Justice Department reported retaliatory investigations against me were based entirely upon lies from the Clinton campaign, as these untruths were aggressively advanced by the campaign's allies in Congress and media. There is, in contrast, indisputable evidence of unethical behavior by the Clintons themselves. For example, a better use of Justice Department resources in investigating the 2016 election would be determining the substance of the secret meeting between Bill Clinton and then Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Now, this is, well, but this is written by a supposed PhD, another one. In paragraph 2, he is talking about, I can't even make out whether at this point he's talking about an assault on his civil rights or just broadly speaking, some other people's civil rights. It's bizarre. As I am sure you are also aware, a diverse array of senators and reps in the U.S. Congress have tried to continue prosecuting the election for the losing side to this day, and I have consistently remained as a primary target. Unfortunately for them, this exercise is based entirely on lies that were completely fabricated by paid consultants and private investigators of the 2016 Clinton campaign. I have not directly supported any political campaign since September 2016.
What does that have to do with anything?
but the continued personal attacks by former members of Hillary for America campaign and their affiliates and what. When I lived in San Francisco 20 some odd years ago for a brief period of time, there was a guy living in his car who every day I'd walk by and he would hand me a mimeographed sheet that he had written in the 24 hours prior, which was written in tiny, tiny writing, and it would use every single portion of the page. And it would outline how there were people who were attempting to, through sound exploitation, and I mean, he obviously had some mental problems. And this reads like a guy this reads like one of those letters. I have no idea, but as you're aware, the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution provides American citizens with protection against infringements against their freedom of speech. Abuses related to the wide range of dishonest misdeeds advanced by Mrs. Clinton allies stand among the cornerstone violations of democratic norms which have been trampled upon in this instance. I didn't even what he's talking about.
I don't think anyone knows what he's talking about. Except for, I bet Trump would.
It's very strange. Meanwhile, here is the another question that Carter Page was asked, and it had to do with his relationship to the White House. Now, according to him, in this letter, he stopped supporting a campaign in September of 2016. I don't know. I don't know why he makes that assertion. I do not know what he meant by that. I think he meant by worked on a political campaign. I don't know if he meant paying a political campaign. I don't know. I don't know. But here he is asked, are you in contact with anybody at the White House, by Chris Hayes?
Final question. Are you in touch with anyone at the White House?
I know various people there. I don't, again, I don't
That's a
talk
yes.
about. I don't talk about any specific discussions.
All right, Carter Page, I appreciate your time tonight.
There you go.
I mean, in a weird way, we were talking about this before the show, that he's inadvertently exculpatory for them, because you're like, yeah, like you're saying before, like, how is this a conduit for any type of like shadowy backroom deal in any way, shape, and form?
This is like a gopher that they just sacrificed. Like, yeah,
it
go
does,
on
it
Hayes
really
tonight.
Doesn't that kind of seem like that? He seems like someone who's completely out of his depth that they're throwing to the wolves.
Yeah.
And honestly, with that letter, when I first read that letter, I mean, maybe we throw this around more than we should, but I mean, that's clinical, right?
I don't know if it's clinical, but the letter
is insane.
Is nuts.
Yeah.
And almost incomprehensible.
And completely unable to do these appearances.
Full, though, with, it's well footnoted.
Well, the letter is especially nuts because it has like a persecution complex, which really is a sign of mental illness. And I mean, he does seem like they're just throwing him to the wolves as a distraction.
He looks scared.
I mean, he looks. Also, it might be notable that he comes across as being very gay, and he's out of
what?
He's out of place with the Trump administration. It's just.
I don't know.
I don't know. Let me just read this. As retribution for my presenting new ideas in an academic forum on August 27th, 2016, then Senator Harry Reid sent a letter to the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations, James Comey, calling for a personal investigation of me based on a false accusation that I, quote, met with high-ranking sanctioned individuals while in Moscow of July 2016. Now, so this guy thinks that Harry Reid is following his speech to the new economic school in Moscow in July. In the middle of the summer, Harry Reid, in his final 8 months, 6 months as majority leader, in the midst of a campaign, is following a speech given by someone who nobody knows, and then because of that speech, sics the FBI on them. Because I guess when Carter Page speaks, people listen. And then he goes on to say, this initial clear instance of suppression of my personal dissenting viewpoints based on false evidence stood as an obviously illegal attempt to silence me on an important issue of national and international consequence in violation of my constitutional rights. As I consistently made clear on all occasions, my academic lecture and related meetings with scholars and business people in Moscow had no connection to the U.S. election. It may not have anything to do with the election. That's the thing is, like, I'm quite convinced that there's just business deals.
Yeah, there's business deals. That's what, and of course, and it's such a basic interest from a Russian perspective. Like, I actually like what the former ambassador tweeted out about it, McCall. He was like, of course, even if Sessions wanted with the intention of talking about Ukraine, like, it's the Russian ambassador's job to talk to somebody like Sessions and get intelligence on a Trump campaign. That isn't like, there's nothing controversial about that.
Hey, everybody, Sam Seder here.
Donald Trump is a bad guy. Believe me. It's true.
It is true, and you can subscribe to this channel by subscribing to this channel. It's true.